Babo, and welcome back to another installment of Creators in Color. This is my interview podcast where I sit down with amazing creators that I want to introduce you guys into. And today I have a challenger on our hands. So we'll get to why that in a minute. But I'd like to introduce you guys to Mark Bandy. He is the lead writer and founder of Crimson Sleeper Studios. So yeah, and we are going to be talking today one about his origin story, but also as well his new upcoming, well, fingers crossed, upcoming Kickstarter for his comic book Scion issue number 2. So, firstly, let me just go ahead and say what's up to the people, Mark.
Hello, hello. Thank you very much for the introduction, Bob. I appreciate it. To everybody out there, my name is Mark Bandy. Like Bobo said, I am the lead writer and the founder of Crimson Sleeper Studios, and we are an independent comic book company, a small press, and we specialize in making what I call Southern superheroes, if you will. Now, we don't use capes in the South because they're just not that practical. It's too
It's too
hot,
hot.
but it's too hot, and the buildings just aren't that tall, right? But we specialize in making Southern superhero stories, and my debut comic book, Scion, is our first in hopefully a long line of doing so. Scion is our me and Che, my artist's first book, both of ours, and it is a Southern Gothic thriller. Do you want me to go ahead and go into things right now, or do you want me to kind of
Yeah,
kind of
we'll
wait
get to
till a
that
little bit
because
later?
we have a lot of
All right, yeah,
questions
we'll
to
wait, we'll
ask.
wait,
Yeah,
yeah.
we have a lot of
All right,
questions
yeah.
to
So
ask about
we'll
like
leave it at
Southern
that. We'll leave
Gothic
it
and
at that.
stuff. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
here at Creators of Color, we know that every good story has, or every good character or hero has an origin story. What is your origin story with getting into the arts or getting into comics in general?
So I was given being a nerd honest by my parents, both of them. My father is definitely what you would call a traditional nerd. He kind of introduced me to comic books at a young age, but also to anime and manga. He took me to go see I got early memories of me getting to go see Ghost in the Shell like at the
Oh
theaters,
wow.
which was really big for me. I'm from a very small town, so
Hmm.
he was like my big city dad, if you will, who'd like take me to go see stuff, which was kind of fun, right? And
Yeah.
my mom, my mom had a little bit of a different relationship with superheroes, but she loved them very much because she loved the X-Men. My mom loves
Oh
Storm.
yeah.
Same with my grandmama. They love Storm so much that I could put on the X-Men cartoon and probably get away with it probably every day just because Storm was in it, right? But
Yeah.
Spider-Man was a little bit Spider-Man animated series was a little bit harder of a
Hmm.
of a push sometimes. Theme song got me there. Theme song got me there, thank goodness. But I got being a nerd honest, and I had a lot of people around me who told me that like art was really important. My mom
Hmm.
specifically. I think that my mom is definitely the reason why I have an appreciation for the arts,
Oh yeah.
especially considering I come from such a small town. I am from Alexandria, Louisiana,
Oh
but if I'm
wow.
being honest, I'm really from Woodworth. Woodworth is where I grew up as a kid. It's where my mom and grandmother still live to this day, and
Oh
it is about like a little small suburb, about like 15 minutes outside of Alec. And Alexandria is already pretty small. It's got 50,000
yeah, yeah,
people
yeah.
there. So when you go to a suburb of a small town, right,
Hmm.
you're looking at like, 12 to 1,500 people there. And it was really cool to kind of get this appreciation for art despite being in an extremely rural area. So I really kind of got to, it was like a thing that we kind of loved in private and that we appreciated on our own, even though we might not see it out wide. And Louisiana is very much like that because I'm from Louisiana and
Hmm.
like art's kind of baked into what we
Oh yeah,
do
yeah.
back home.
It's
It's everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
From music
And
to
it's just,
visual arts, all that stuff,
yes,
man.
like jazz and
Hmm.
blues, all of it. So it really is this kind of like music's in us in a sense, and art in general, excuse me, is in us. And like I I really kind of just fell in love with this idea of trying to find the art in things. And I was definitely not necessarily I wasn't necessarily encouraged to choose art for
Hmm.
my occupation, right? My mom definitely encouraged me to go into STEM. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what everybody was on whenever we were back in high school, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And my mom thought that it'd be a good opportunity because she was an English teacher. My mom was an English teacher. She really wanted me to kind of do something different from what she did because she felt that she could give me that English education kind of on her own,
Hmm.
and I could just kind of go out and search for the information that's maybe exterior from our household. Like
Yeah.
go learn how that car works.
Yeah.
Come back
Tinker
home, right?
around.
You know what I mean? Right. So that was kind of our deal with it. And I went to school. I had a really tumultuous time doing that. And when I kind of came out the other end of it and I had my degree, had the first big boy job after school, Um, I was spending my money on comic books, man. I was buying so many comic books. Like I was at
Yeah,
the comic
man.
book shop. There was this thing I couldn't buy. I couldn't
Hmm.
buy it when I was younger, especially in that small town environment, right? My mom was the first person who got me comic books consistently, and it's because she bought the Marvel monthly subscription for me as a kid. It was the
Oh.
Ultimate Spider-Man, right? So
Hmm.
I'm getting Mark Bagley artwork in
Hmm.
the mail. I thought I was like, man, I was a special dude,
Yeah,
bro. Not
man.
everybody's got this in the mail back home. You know what I mean? And I finally got to kind of buy into that as an adult
Hmm.
once I really got my footing occupationally. And
Hmm.
it was, I finally built up a savings. I've been really falling in love with like the art and the storytelling of all the comics that were coming out at the time. Milestone Returns was on the shelf at the time,
Hmm.
so I'm getting to kind of see some of my favorite books that like I didn't really get to like have access to as a kid get to kind of be brought back
Yeah.
to life in front of me, and I like really like saw those books. And I just like I wasn't jealous, but like it was like this longing. It was like I wanted to be a
Mhm.
part of it, man. I was like, man, what am I doing with all this?
Yeah.
I took thermodynamics, all these organic chemistries, and man, what am I doing? I could be a part of this. You know what
Oh.
I mean? And there were a lot of other books at the time too. I think that like the Krakoa era X-Men
Hmm.
was really starting to pop up and get popping, and like
Hmm.
I found Jonathan Hickman at that time. I really fell in love with how the data pages. Obviously, an engineer falling in love with Hickman's data pages. I bet somebody out there is literally falling asleep to me talking right
No,
now.
no,
But
no. Trust
it's
me. My
I
audience
I
always
really
keeps me
got
roll on. So yeah, they.
yeah,
Man.
no, it was something that was amazing, and that was kind of what made me want to do this was that I kind of it became real having
Hmm.
all of these comic book stores in front of me finally being able to keep up with monthly releases and then going to store signings getting to talk to these
Hmm.
people who are in the industry. They're real people, you can shake their hand, you know what I mean, and it all became very real, and I suddenly asked
Oh yeah.
myself like, and I asked, well, specifically I asked Mitch Garrett's
Hmm.
shouts out to Mitch at a signing for Riddler One Bad Day.
Mm.
And I asked him, I was like, what do I need to do if I want to be like you, man? He's like, he's got to make a book. And I was like, that's it? He's got to make one? He's like, well, yeah, man, you make one, you get it out here, and now you're one of us. That's
Yeah,
what we all did.
it's so easy when they like say it like that, but again, as like a person who is a budding author as well, like I do science fiction, I write poetry and everything, but I also have always wanted to write my own comic book. I have plethora of ideas in my head. I have things and storyboards written up. So yeah, for them to just put a book out, it's like that's it.
Right, right. It's like so like who's gonna help me fund this? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
like,
that's
like
cool.
yes. It was a whole thing, and I kind of
Hmm.
sat down with myself and I said, I do have I finally was able to get a small amount of savings, not enough to really do anything crazy, but enough to maybe start a small business. And I was
Yeah.
like, I think I want to get into the business of comic books, and I think that was kind of where I started. I got my in, if you will. So
Hmm.
Mitch kind of inspired me to kind of get out here and kind of figure out what that stuff looks like. Because you're right, they don't tell you what to do outside of just
Yeah.
do it. It's like, hey man, just do it, man. Hey man, you got this. Go do
Yeah.
it. And it's like, I'm
Okay.
glad you believe in me, but yeah, do you have a
Like,
list of like some
right.
requirements? Like,
When it comes to your business, because again, like you said, you got up a bit of savings, and then you started your business. Of course, Crimson Sleeper. Tell us a little bit more about like where did that come from? Like, what are the thought processes behind Crimson Sleeper? And does the main name have like a specific meaning for you?
oh, I love getting this question because not a lot of people ask it. Because in the comic book world, sometimes eclectic names are just a thing. You got
Yeah,
Top
yeah,
Cow
yeah.
Productions, things like that, right?
Hmm.
But Crimson Sleeper was actually my nickname that I got playing Quiz Bowl in high school.
Oh.
So I was a freshman ringer. That's what they call them back in the days.
Hmm.
Whenever you get a freshman who's a little bit overly confident on the buzzer, but it gets results, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes the
Sometimes.
upperclassmen get a little mad because they're losing out to somebody that can't drive, right? And I remember there would be moments where obviously I would do well, but then
Hmm.
there'd be moments where like the gap in knowledge because you're just a freshman happens. Like you're not supposed
Yeah.
to know about Othello yet when you're a freshman. You know what I mean?
Correct.
You know of Othello, but you don't know
The intricate
you don't know it.
details.
You don't know who Iago is. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like so, it was things like that, and like those moments will show, and the upperclassmen will get their little laugh. And I remember one buddy. He's a good buddy. He's not definitely not a bully or anything. Lee Matthews. He's a very great individual. Lee. we were all getting together to do our little team T-shirts. Because
Mm-hmm.
back then, like custom ink finally kind of caught popping. You could
Ah,
go and get like the custom T-shirts with the
yeah.
names on the backs and stuff. So we were all gonna pick a nickname to go on the back of like our team shirts. And I remember I wanted to be in my ever 15-year-oldness on Xbox Live, chronically on Xbox Live. I wanted to be hard. I wanted to be
Mm.
hard, man. I was like, I want to be the Crimson Reaper, right? Because I'm out
Oh,
here for blood. I'm out here for
yeah,
blood, man.
yeah.
It's Quiz Bowl, man. It's not that deep. You know what I mean? So everybody just kind of turns and Lee goes, we're like the Crimson Sleeper. And like,
Oh.
yeah. And I turned my head, I was like, man, you kind of hating, but that's got a ring to it. I like that. And I
I
went
love it.
home and I changed my Xbox Live gamer tag to Crimson Sleeper
Oh man.
that night. And pretty much it's been this evolving persona that I've been
Mm.
trying to like kind of manifest into something. When I was younger, it was kind of just like this kind of comedy bit I would kind of do, being like,
Yeah.
oh, like my alter ego's Crimson, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when I got older, it was like it's my gamer tag. So whenever I started doing like coaching for Overwatch back in the day and kind of
Mm-hmm.
doing that competitively and stuff, I got to kind of do like the first iteration, if you will, of Crimson Sleeper Studios, which is like my content for Overwatch,
Oh,
and
nice.
then once I kind of got serious about this, I was able to evolve it into an actual kind of into a press because like at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's Crimson Sleeper is just what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Crimson Sleeper Studios is what I'm doing at the time, and right
Yeah.
now, I think, and honestly, for the very much foreseeable future, because I'm trying to obviously we want the S to expand out beyond just publishing a comics. We want to be
Yeah.
able to do maybe animation or live action one day, but for right now, we are very happy to be a comic book and. I'm really happy to have kind of grown with this kind of persona since I was a kid, since I was just, catching toss ups at Quiz Bowl
Mm-hmm.
to playing online when I was coaching Overwatch and even at Xbox back in the Xbox back in the day. Like it was fun to kind of get to grow with this persona and now kind of have it be my professional moniker.
Okay. Okay. So tell us a little bit about your Overwatch days, man, that you were doing competitively.
I was a tier 4, edging on tier 3 coach. We were pretty good. We were
Okay.
like around like 4.4K to 4.3K stream,
Mm.
depending on if our DPS were not throwing
Yeah, yeah.
in ladder that month. Right? I told him, man, keep the SRs high, man. That matters if you want good scrims. They're like, man, but I just want to play Widow. It's like, bro, it's the goats meta. What are you doing? It's like it's it. So we had a good time. I'm not gonna be honest.
Okay, okay.
We punched high for our pay grade. Like we used to
Mm-hmm.
be like that dude that like World Cup teams want to play against. That way they don't have to worry about people knowing their plays. Like we used to
Yeah.
like World Cup scrim against like a lot of like South American teams back then because of like the time zone difference.
Yeah,
We'd be
yeah.
willing to stay up a little bit later for them and stuff like that. So it was I'm gonna be honest. At the time, everyone's because you know how the competitive gaming world is, man. They are constantly trying to downplay everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's trash.
Yeah.
Everybody's awful. And I will 100% say that there is just a as you go up and up on that ladder, like the difference in skill between players, it does become
Yeah.
this
You
it becomes hills and like
you think
mountainous as
that
far
you're
as like
ready for it, but like again, like
yeah
it's just a vast difference in just even
yeah.
reaction times and just like strategies that they implement. It's crazy.
Oh yes, and like we were very much a motley crew. Our tank was
Mm-hmm.
nonverbal. We had a couple of people who like we had to convince them off of one trick, and like they were like reformed to one tricks. Like you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
did what we could with what we had, and honestly, I loved that team. It was so fun, and I got to really kind of understand what like kind of building a team looks like. Like when I look
Mm-hmm.
back on it in hindsight, like making a comic book was easy. Like trying to find an artist, trying to find a letterer, trying to find a printer, all these different pieces. Yeah, it's just trying to find a main tank or an off tank or a flex support. Like you're looking for these. Yeah, you're looking for
Yeah,
these.
you
You're
look.
putting
Yeah.
out like I'm looking for a teammate. I need X, Y, and Z. Like you're putting these in these Discord servers or in these Reddit threads. Like
Mm-hmm.
I kind of was doing similar stuff back then as far as building a team and trying to lead them to victory. It's just that now I'm like the coach of this comic, if you will.
Mm. Yeah.
I did want to mention that's how I met Che, my artist for this series. He was the
Oh.
artist for a web comic that our esports organization did. Like he made a webtoon that kind of like personified all of the different like Twitch streamers in our like orgs
Mm-hmm.
like personas and put them in like a kind of battle royale comic. And
Oh
like
wow.
I found his artwork from that. So it's actually really cool that you bring that up because I wouldn't know my artists for this series if it hadn't been for competitive Overwatch.
It's crazy, man. Like again, you never know when the universe will connect you with who you need for the next step of your journey. And like
Truly.
you put it very well. Like being a coach of this comic is really how it is being like a lead writer and like I said the person who is calling like the shots for how the story is flowing, how the art will relate to the story, things like that. So tell us a little bit more about the experience of translating a lot of that skill set into making your comic.
Lots of humility, and admitting that you might know what you need to do, but you haven't executed on it before. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of opportunity to make mistakes. I kind of knew what I needed to do, if you will, as far as make a comic. Like it was like, okay, go do the research, figure out what the nuts and bolts of this are, make like a process flow, figure out what the steps look like, who the players you're going to need to make this happen, and at what scale you and at what like execution level you want, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're only going to have a budget that's going to be, possible for like one type of execution. So you need to make sure that you like really follow through. And that was definitely us. Like we were very much, we're not, I wouldn't say shoestring budget. I definitely made sure to put the money in where it was needed.
Yeah.
But we definitely are a small press publisher. And as far as like, being able to shell out like 10, 12, 15 grand on a single issue,
Mm-hmm.
that's just very much outside of our budget. And I know that some
Lord.
small presses are able to do it.
Yeah.
But we knew that we needed to be good at the level we're at. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that like me and Shay were really able to kind of come together, put our heads together, share equity on this book, as far as like sending out royalties and things like that. So that way we can make sure that the work we're putting into this is because we want people to know that if there was anything that could have possibly looked wrong to us before we put this out there, we made sure to fix it. Like we didn't send this out with known errors in it. It's because we just
Mm-hmm.
either didn't see it or someone else didn't come by it or because it was a
Yeah.
stylistic decision.
Mm-hmm.
So like those things all really really mattered. And I think that getting to see the product, like getting to hold it in your hand at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of just realize like how much each little hurdle or roadblock, or like I need to stop for a second and just figure out what this means. Take clearing out fires and understanding that you might lose progress, but you're still moving forward.
Yeah.
Once you have the finished product in hand, you really understand just how much the coordination of it all and like the staying on top of it all, it
Mm-hmm.
really really matters. And like that's what really makes for like I think a clean comic book in the indie space is whenever someone really is just kind of incessantly over it and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I'm willing to do like the extra like athletics here to kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
make this happen. Like I'm willing to do some backflips
Yeah.
if this is going to make this work,
It's
right?
all
Even though
about getting
I'm
those.
not a high flyer.
Yeah.
Right, right, because I'm a lineman. I'm not built for flips.
No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. So let's segue into your baby then. Let's talk about Scion. If you want to, like I said, you can give the backstory of about, like I said, the plot or whatever. Just introduce Scion to someone who's watching this for the first time.
All right. So this is Scion. It is my debut comic book. It is a supernatural thriller that is set on a college campus, specifically an HBCU. It follows this young detective, John, who's a criminology major that's caught in a conspiracy. There are strange benefactors that are offering charity on campus, and he seems to be the only person skeptical. Which, I mean, you know us, bro. That's not
Yeah.
normal. So so it's 48 pages. It's full color, and it's very much inspired by my Creole heritage and my time as a student at Jackson State. I really wanted to put an HBCU into a comic book because I just hadn't seen it before. I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure it's out there, but
Somewhere,
I hadn't
somewhere.
seen it. So I wanted to make it since I hadn't seen it. So we got to put a lot of downtown Jackson in there, a lot of
Oh.
Jackson State into our fictional HBCU, Gibbs Green College.
Hmm.
And yeah, we got to kind of put the South on display and kind of showcase the city with soul.
Yeah, I love that because again, with it being set at HBCU, like you said, it's a place that a lot of people they all like you hear HBCUs, a historical black college, but outside of Howard, you don't get that much like play for any other HBCUs. I
Yes.
went to Tuskegee.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. I also
Okay.
love
All
the,
right.
the the mention of the Tuskegee experiments in the first issue. That is a thing that is a big kind of like not like a stain, but like it is a thing that's still prevalent, or we still talk about at the campus because again, it's a part of the history, and we want to make sure that people know, like, hey, like this is what we did afterwards or so. But yeah, I love that you did study at HBCU because that's my college experience. I don't like I say I don't have anything against PWIs, but again, I went to an HBCU. I know that feel. I know going out into the town out after class or whatever, hitting one of your favorite restaurants or going up to the corner store or something like that. And yeah, it's a little bit different, but it needed that feel, needed that vibe. So with Scion, you said that there is an antagonist. There's a mysterious benefactor. I think it's Medici.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
It is
Medici. Yeah.
the
Hmm.
Yes, it is. They are Medici is. Oh, can you see? Oh, a
Yeah,
little bit lower. There we go.
yeah,
So
there you
yeah,
go.
Medici is a. They are a philanthropy group that is
Hmm.
consisting of the six highest grossing corporate organizations. They have come together because they claim that they can fix the world's problems. We got a little breakdown everybody in here, but
Hmm.
essentially the companies they all spell out the word Medici, which is why they wanted to kind of come together. It's a nod to the Medici family back during
Yeah,
the Renaissance. I'm sorry, the Medici family, excuse
yeah,
me. That is a delineation. I'm using a very strict Latin pronunciation here. I'm Catholic, so
understandable.
I'm not using an Italian pronunciation
No,
for
no,
a
no.
Latin word. I'm very sorry. I know a lot of people get mad about that, but well, actually, it's Medici, and it's like, well, actually, it's Latin.
Hmm.
So it's it's essentially a group of people coming together trying to fix people's problems. And we all know what kind of happens whenever people come together and claim they can fix people's problems from an
Yeah,
ivory tower. So,
yes. So that's another thing that I was going to ask you for. What with the Medici corp, like, well, the conglomeration, like I said, was that a play or a tactful nod to that family? And you kind of confirmed it there. So, but like, how will that unfold? Like a little bit, if you could share a little bit into the future.
oh, for sure, no, definitely. The theme here is definitely to do exactly what you said, to nod at the Medici family and this idea of like, looking
Hmm.
charity in the face. Why are they here? Why are they doing this? Is it to continue their own prevalence? Do they want to? Because like the Medici's they very much wanted their home city to be well regarded in the art space, and you can still
Hmm.
see that today. The artwork from the Renaissance era that they were able to finance, it's incredible, but it's also at the cost of funding a lot of wars
Yeah.
and a lot of overthrowing of other governments, different things like that. There was some underhandedness, not to say some, there was a lot of underhandedness going on during that
Yes.
era, and I want to kind of look that in the eye, right? Because when I was younger, I definitely would have said that, well, why don't these organizations come out here and at least try to be like the Medici's, right?
Hmm.
And it's like, well, they do. It's
Yeah.
just that it's not gilded. It
Hmm.
feels dirty because it's exploitation at the end of the day. At the end of the
Hmm.
day, they are getting something out of it, and you need to figure out what that is. Even if it's just your data, things like
Hmm.
that. They're getting something out of you if they're going to give you something for free.
Yeah.
And that was what I wanted to kind of talk about here was, um, you know, there's always somebody looking to take from like the black community, and
Hmm.
an HBCU campus is it's an environment that we created for ourselves, that we make safe, that we self police, that we make powerful through the different invisible and visible institutions that we craft and put power and work into there.
Yeah.
um, it's so important to see how much the outside world is trying to crowd in on that, and I really wanted to kind of showcase that with this book.
Okay. So, as we said before, your main character, he's a bit of a detective or detective in training, or budding, because I know he's still in college, but he has a huge opportunity in front of him. But he's kind of feeling apprehensive about it after kind of everything he's been through. Could you tell the audience a little bit about that?
I got you. So our boy John is exceptionally gifted, and he is being eyed right now for a special agent position with the FBI. Our boy is Quantico bound, if you will, and right now he is kind of feeling guilt around the situation because he's kind of wondering. Is he going to be a part of the problem? Is this a job that can he do the good while being a part of the problem?
Hmm.
And that is something he wrestles with because his mother was in law enforcement and she actually passed away in the line of duty. So he feels a want to continue this legacy because he had a heroic person in this field around him as a child, inspiring him and putting all of this good into him. So he wants to think that he can put this out into the world. So with this, I wanted to kind of critique the idea of what a good job is in our
Hmm.
community because sometimes whenever we find jobs that'll pay us a good retirement or maybe have good benefits, we'll sometimes look some of the things that we have to do. We'll look the other way sometimes if it's the quote unquote good job that comes with stability. And I
Yeah.
wanted to kind of talk about what the beginning of that road might look like and what a gentleman what questions he might have morally to ask himself before trying to, go down this path. Because, like we talk about in the issue,
Hmm.
you don't necessarily have to you don't necessarily have to succumb to bias to be successful in this
Yes.
industry. So, how do you do that? How do you be a good man with
Hmm.
a good job?
And that is one deep question that is, like you say, very lingering throughout the first issue. Along with John, there are a couple of other characters that you meet, and like I said, I feel are going to be very prevalent throughout the rest of the series or so. Could you tell us about some of the friends or like also some of the mentor figures as well?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. So I'll start out with John's best friend. That's Danita.
Hmm.
Danita is a foreign exchange student from the UK. She is a diplomat's daughter. She's lived a very good life, and she is very much not resting on her laurels despite it. She is very much a great addition to any classroom. She's a contributor, and she never spares to give her opinion, even if sometimes it could showcase a little bit of her more obtuse side, right? So that's John's
Yeah.
best friend. She's a pre med major, so she is the Watson to his Sherlock, if you
Ah,
will.
yes, yes.
Um, and yeah, they're kind of like definitely besties on campus. He definitely
Hmm.
confides in her, and she definitely tries to make sure that he gets enough sleep because he's overworked.
Truly, truly.
From there, you have their good friend. I would say their good friend Vincent. Vincent is on the football team. Vincent is he doesn't get to spend as much time with his friends as he wants to because he has to do the D1 athlete life
Hmm.
alongside school. But he always makes time for everybody. He always shows up when you need him most. He is inspired by a person I know in my own life, just like John, and just a really really quality individual that like really adds to our story here. In regards to what it means to be like the local hero because he is from Jackson in our story and
Hmm.
he's kind of like that local story that people have been following because he was really good at ball in high school and now he gets to kind of be the local
Hero, yeah, man.
joy if you will. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So you got Vincent. You then have our campus comedian Willie.
Hmm.
Willie is the heart of any comedic conversation. He will immediately start to roast you if you even step a fraction out of
Oh,
line, and it is
yes.
because it is completely out of love. He loves everyone around him so much that he has to make fun of you.
Yeah,
And
we all
Willie's
have a
also
friend like
inspired by
that.
someone I know. Oh yes, oh yes, and Willie's someone I know in my real life. The
Ah,
jokes you see in this book, some of them actually happened in real life, and
oh
I love him for
man.
that. I love him for that. He's an amazing friend, and I love him for keeping the people around him honest and by kind of figuring out the world around him through jokes. Because Willie in our story is a philosophy major, so he's trying to make sense of the world around him through jokes. So
Okay.
um, from there, we also have our professor of the bunch, Dr. Alvaro.
Hmm.
He is our mentor to these students. He is the star professor on campus, I would say, because he's over here teaching criminology as his main discipline, but also still
Hmm.
making time for the African American Studies class because
Hmm.
he is a man from Haiti. So he wants to make sure that the folks here know where they come from, if you will, and know about the revolution and different things like that. Um, Different things like that. Just like the history of what America looked like before when there were still colonies, right?
Yeah.
Different things like that.
Yeah.
Understand that African American history is a lot more than just the start of America and us kind of showing up here, if you will, quote unquote. Um, and like with the pride of what our stories looked like across those lines and like him kind of piecing those two kind of things together. Like he loves to find a story, right? And
Yes.
he gets to do that both through detective work and through history. And
Yes.
He gets to be the unapologetic mentor. Whenever we were inspired to create him, we wanted to kind of think about what if Basquiat had lived, right?
Mm-hmm.
This idea of him getting to mature and get to give that knowledge and some of that angst to the youth,
Mm-hmm.
so that way they could build with it and not just have to use his art. Instead of his art being here to inspire us, he can inspire us with his lectures,
Directly.
right? That
Yeah.
type of idea. Yeah, yeah. And
I
then last but not least, oh sorry, I do
oh
have
no,
one more
no,
person.
go
Last but
ahead.
not least, we have to talk about John's love interest. We have to talk about
Ah,
Jean, man.
yes.
Jean is the real deal. She is from a family of tailors in Houston. She wants to try and turn her family's tailoring business into kind of like a haute couture type deal. She wants to kind of bring, like, she wants to be like Southern couture type
Mm-hmm.
thing. She is making her own clothes. She's doing her own thing, and she's really good at it. And like she kind of sees John in this kind of similar position of kind of being a little overworked, not being able to kind of show up as much as you want, but whenever you
Mm-hmm.
do, you make sure you show up twice as hard. And like that's where they kind of meet in the middle. It's like two ships that couldn't deny each other in the night, if you will. Like you
Yeah.
might think they're just passing by one another, but no, they're stopping to say hi for a little bit. So
Yeah, so all of the characters bring something so different to the story. Like I say, you have Danita, you got Willie, and like I say you have the love interest Jean. But like I said, my favorite was the professor because he reminded me so much of one of my professors I had in freshman year of college, and he would challenge us, but he would also bring back a lot of historical and like significance to what we're learning in the English class. But again, like it's that type of environment that you can only really get at HBCU with these many different characters that bring such a different light and a different perspective from each part of the story. So yeah, so I really enjoy how you set all of that up. Hey guys, let's take a quick break to talk about today's sponsor, NordVPN, one of the fastest and most secure VPNs on the market. Whether you're streaming, gaming, or just browsing the internet, NordVPN keeps your private data private without slowing you down at all. Their Nord Links protocol was built on WireGuard. It gives them top tier speeds with rock solid security. Plus, no bandwidth or data limits at all. You can surf and stream all you want. With over 7,300 servers in 118 countries, you'll always find a fast and stable connection with no lag. And whether you need P2P support, extra security, or just an ultra reliable connection, NordVPN has a specialty server tailored to your exact needs. You can even protect your entire household. With what's going on now, that's needed. Connect up to 10 devices with one account. And with their Threat Protection Pro, you get extra peace of mind by blocking malicious sites, ads, and trackers. Need to securely share files or set up remote LAN parties? MeshNet has you covered. Right now, NordVPN is offering an exclusive deal for listeners of my podcast that's 77% off for a 2-year plan plus 3 extra months for free. That's nearly 3 years of protection at an unbeatable price. Again, 77% off of a 2-year plan and 3 extra months. Who can beat that? Head over to the link in the description below to grab your deal today.
thank you, thank you. I really appreciate that. It means a lot.
So when it comes to how you and I met, it was really interesting. So I'm gonna play this really quickly for you guys. So I saw Mark on Instagram, and on Instagram he was asking for help with a challenge. So I told you guys he's a challenger when we first started out. So let's get into that real quick. It's gonna
In
say,
my video about the success of the Dakota incident, I received this reply back from Tony Weaver Jr. Now, to some, this might seem a little stark, but to me, I personally think that Tony was trying to throw a bone to a smaller creator, especially since he decided to follow me during the exchange. If my claim about rising tides in black indie spaces is correct, then there should be some form of measurable success that could be recorded. And with that in mind, using Scion Issue 2's crowdfunding campaign as a test case does make a lot of sense, even if it does open me up to the risk of embarrassment. The engineer in me truly can't pass up the opportunity to model a data set. So, with Tony's criteria in mind, I'd like to introduce you to the blacklist. a list of 100 creators that I saw talking about Milestone and the Dakota incident. Now, this isn't solely a list of black creators. It's a list of creators who I believe care about the books that get less of a platform. The books that may be blacklisted mentally by some, I think you might advocate for. So I added you to this list. I made sure to include creators that were both big and small, and I excluded professionals from the big two. I want this list to rely on the grassroots aspect of indie and not add pressure to the people that are already fighting to create representation at the top. Don't get me wrong, I'll never turn down help, but I also just don't want to act entitled. The goal is to reach out to each person on this list, either via email or by socials. That way I can give them a digital packet that tells them who we are, what Scion is, and that we're in pre-launch for issue 2. Based off how that first contact goes, we can then see about sending out physical press kits to the folks that are interested. Now, this is effectively a cold call, so the likelihood of this having a high turnout is probably a bit overly optimistic. And that's on top of having a very small data set. 100 entries is definitely not very large, and it's definitely not statistically significant. But that's where I think you can help me. If you want to be a part of the blacklist, let me know down in the comments, and I'll DM you a digital packet. That way you can be a part of the action, and I can add you to this data set. That way I can just have as many data points as possible before we throw everything into Tableau.
All right, so we are here because you put out a call for the blacklist. You did a recent, like a actual like post about the Dakota incident. One of my great friends, Stephanie Williams, she is actually one of the writers on the team of the Dakota incident. Love her down. I was actually able to get 2 copies from her when I saw her at Charlotte Minicon the other week. But tell us how that started, like that interaction that you had with social media and how the blacklist has come to fruition.
Yeah, no, first I want to say, yes, Stephanie Williams is absolutely amazing. I love everything she does. Just wanted to put that out there. I got to see her at San Francisco Fan Expo. I got to grab a copy
Nice.
of Living Heroes, which is
Yeah.
my favorite, like one of my favorite
Hold
comics
on,
ever.
because
I
it's
love that
right
book.
here. It's right
Yeah, love
here
that.
in front of
Yes, I
me.
already knew from the size. I already knew from the size. I already knew from the size. Yes. Oh, yeah. That book is incredible.
Love it
Um,
down.
so I was very very fortunate to get to meet her there, and I've been very very fortunate recently in the past couple of months to kind of get a little bit of traction online when I've been kind of talking about my book, but also just about what Black comics are kind of doing in general. The Dakota incident is a triumph. The fact
Yes.
that we were able to kind of mobilize, well, Joe Illidge was able to create this challenge, and then everyone kind of come together and mobilize, and do the thing that we're known for in our community, which is making sure that we mobilize on the products that we believe in. And to see that happen for this book was big. And
Yes.
I think that there was unfortunately there was some cries of pessimism in the room whenever folks talked about what this could mean. And I think it's because of the fact that unfortunately there have been so many moments where people didn't show up for Black indie, right? Because I was very much of the opinion that this could be a rising tides moment. That yeah, obviously their ship got to go where it got to go, but hopefully I can get to go where I want to go too from this.
Great point.
And I think that when I made my post about talking about this, things like that, I tagged Tony Weaver Jr. because he was kind of at the center of some of this pessimism online. It wasn't just him.
No.
Brandon Easton also was, I think, a member of this as well. And there's been a lot of people that agree with them, right? So they're not alone. They're not on some island here. But I kind of wanted to challenge this pessimism head on. And whenever I did, I got a response back from Tony that was a little bit stern. But
But
when
that's
uh,
just how
when met,
Tony
when met,
talks.
yes,
That's
no,
yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
right.
I've
He,
learned in
yeah,
interactions with him or so, just online or just like seeing how he is. He's very like to the point. Like I'm not going to
yeah.
beat around words here.
No, and I understand that time is very precious.
Yeah.
And he pretty much told me, he's like, look, man, do me a favor. I want you to go and I want you to see everyone you saw talking about this Dakota incident book, and I want you to see if they'll talk about yours.
Hmm.
Because I want you to take notes. I want you I want you to make graphs, show me the data, right?
Hmm.
And unfortunately, he asked an engineer this, so I have I have a data analytics
Oh yeah.
certification just for fun, right? So I was very much down to do this. I got Tableau on the computer right now, so
Hmm.
I've been kind of compiling this blacklist, right? It starts as this idea of, okay, go and get people, do this kind of this data science experiment, if you will, this data analytics experiment, right? And and it very much became okay, but what does this look like after this, right? If we're going to model this and have this group of people who, either do or don't believe in indie, this needs to be like a living document,
Yeah.
if you will. So the idea for this is that we keep expanding the blacklist, we keep taking people who want to be a part of this, who care about the books that maybe others don't, whether it be people of color on the cover, whether it be people trying to showcase the people that they love on the
Hmm.
cover, and that being controversial too. I want people to have access to finding their communities because it's out there.
Yeah.
And I think that this list, if we fill it with enough robust creators that are true believers in the true Excelsior sense of the word, I think we can make it happen because
Oh yeah.
at the end of the day, good books exist within our interests in the small press space. We just
Hmm.
have to find them and connect them with their readers. So that's kind of the goal with this is that I'm collecting folks. I'm getting responses back. I'm sending out digital packets of Scion. People have
Hmm.
already been making content or reaching out to me saying they want to meet with me like you did, which was
Yeah.
incredible. Like, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been incredible to kind of see that in the space of pessimism, there's kind of been a response of, "Nuh-uh, I want to do something like this." And, it doesn't have to be antagonistic. It doesn't have to be something that's anything more than, PE class competition. It is just for reps. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? And at the end of the day, it's going to be for our own personal health, financially, as a community, to be able to say that we had some sort of success by doing this, or that we were able to build something substantial here.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're having a great time with it, and honestly, we've already been able to grow our original number over a third, which is
Oh
big, and we're
wow.
still taking yeah no, and we've got a pretty good turnout so far. I haven't gone through and done the numbers yet, but I've been having to go back and retool on the doc like every day, multiple times a day to go and record responses. So
Nice.
I'm very, very fortunate to see so many people who want to be a part of this
Hmm.
and think that it's important. So thank you to everybody, including you, for seeing the potential in this and wanting to showcase that like we can mobilize
Hmm.
around the books that we want to see.
Yeah, and that is a big thing. Community plays the hugest part into this because a lot of the times people think like, "Oh, comics just get put up on the shelf." Like, no, it takes a community wanting that comic there. It takes a community talking about that comic for it to be put in a pre-order pull list, for it to be put into the face of like different publishers and pressing houses and getting picked up by say like a Mad Cave Studios or Image or IDW, something like that. And it is important for us to come together as just comic book lovers, man. That is a big thing that drew me to this because you were like, you wanted to depend, not depend, but like really be powered by the grassroots movements of independent comics. And that's usually where indies shine. Independent productions and independent comic books. I have backed on Kickstarter, have always had that deep grassroots connection with their audience, with their community. And I feel like this is a great call to action to show that we can, as you said, mobilize that power into any project that we want to back.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree. There's going to be books out there that need our help because at the end of the day, the algorithm is a tall mountain to
Oh
climb,
yeah.
and not everybody's going to be able to do it. It
Hmm.
takes a lot of steps, and if we can kind of get the books that we are like kind of confused as to why they're not getting more traction, if we can just get those in front of more eyes and
Hmm.
have folks just add us to your content schedule. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Just if you got some space for us, we'd love to be a part of your programming. That's what I want to try to build for people. Because I remember a lot of creators, they were kind of lamenting like this kind of dry up, if you will, for like the kind of books on Kickstarter.
Hmm.
Because there was a time where you maybe could have, it was easier to kind of find opportunities to go on podcasts or
Hmm.
to get, send a solicitation out to somebody and have someone review it, right?
Hmm.
And it's a different world now. But I think
Truly.
that it's because we're expecting the powers that be to facilitate success for us that we need to build with the individuals around us, not above us. Like
Hmm.
live as you climb. It's a very controversial
Yes, that's a
statement,
good way to
right?
put it.
Talented tenth ideology is a very it has a very elitist vibes to it at times,
Hmm.
but I think it's because we were expecting it to look like you sending a rope down the mountain. that's not practical. You
No.
lift as you climb. Like if you're a rock climber, you have to do it as a group together, side by
Hmm.
side. Like you're sharing pinions. You're using group strength to try and lift each other up. It has to be this collaborative effort with the people at your level and at your ecosystem. And we're strong. We us at this level, we are strong. And if we band together and create a network, I don't see why we can't lend each other strength to one another. You know what I mean?
Yes, that is exactly it. Like you said, lifting as you climb is being able to bring that community with you from the journey all the way to the end, and also uplifting the people that are also want to follow in your footsteps as well. To also bring it back to the Dakota incident, like you were saying, people are expecting the big powerhouses to be putting this like machine behind us, or that's how they're expecting it to happen. But it took that creative team marketing that book, pushing this out, making that 100K challenge for that issue to get as much recognition as it has so far.
Yeah, I mean Joe Illich had to pay out of pocket for
Oh
that
yeah.
trailer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about, man. It's crazy to think about that. It's always going to be on us,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that me knowing that now is going to make my journey a lot easier
Mm.
because I just know that there's going to be some hoops,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't got to like them, but I got to get through them.
True.
You know
True.
what I mean? It's unfortunate, but I mean, I'm not about to get eliminated. You know
No,
what
no,
I mean?
no.
I'm
The
treating
one
out.
thing,
You know what I mean?
yeah, one thing about people like us, like we're going to put in our all. Like we may go away, but you're gonna remember that we were there.
I agree. I agree. Like they're
So,
gonna remember that I had my day in the sun.
oh yeah, definitely for sure. So now we have the start of the blacklist. Like you said, it's growing each day. It's actually increased by a third now. So what are the next steps from here? Where are we going? One with Scion, and two with Crimson Sleeper, and just the blacklist in general.
So right now, our next big step is Scion issue 2.
Hmm.
Right now, we are in pre-release for our crowdfunding campaign. We use Kickstarter for our crowdfunding, and we are currently available to sign up. So if you are interested in our story, you can actually go over to Kickstarter and you can actually get notified on our campaign page of when we will go live. It makes it a lot easier for us because it lets us know how many people are interested, but it also gives you an email notification the second we go live. So that way you don't have to worry about missing us or like, oh, I didn't know that this already launched. I can't believe I missed that. You don't have to worry about any of it. It makes it easy.
Yeah.
And we're looking to try and have a late spring, early summer launch. Now, nothing's set in stone yet because I'd like to get finished pages back and kind of have everything ready to kind of go before I have the book done before I launch my Kickstarter. I know I don't necessarily need to, but I just like to because I like to get books out fast to our
Yeah.
backers.
It,
So
it, it helps.
um,
It helps with the
I
Kickstarter.
agree. I agree. I agree because sometimes people don't get those books back, and
Mm.
that's a terrible look.
Hmm.
So we want to spare our readers that type of experience and just come to you whenever we're ready. But the blacklist is how we're kind of mobilizing this, if you will. It's kind of a live mailing list that we kind of have actively going. And the idea is to, once we're done with this Kickstarter campaign for Scion issue 2, we're going to take the data we've kind of collected from the different members that we have put on the list, see if they were able to support us by making either content or just mentioning us online, inviting us on podcasts, different things like that. Doing a little tally, seeing who did what, and then we're going to model that data with some pretty fun graphs. I'm going to try to make this like a document that hopefully just points to Tableau, so that way
Hmm.
once we do have this kind of finish and I've kind of gone through all the data, we've done a presentation through TikToks, and
Yeah.
if you will, right, show the data off to people, show people the fun graphs.
Hmm.
Hopefully the idea would be that we could give this out to the members of the blacklist. Like the
Oh.
blacklist members would get the blacklist
Hmm.
and they would be able to give the list to the creators that they think are most deserving. Now, there's
Ah.
a slight bit of an oligarchical element to this, right?
Okay.
And a bit of an honor system element,
Yeah.
right? A lot of people are
True.
gonna get mad if you try and put some trash in their DM, right? But so it's gonna be a little bit of a. We're hoping that we're out here putting forth our best look whenever we're trying to do this, because at this level, unfortunately, we do have to present something that could be as polished as Marvel or DC. We're not looking to
Hmm.
compete with them, but we do have to have a completed bike if we want to
Yeah.
go out on the streets, if you will. So can't just go pedaling around on like a bike with no chain. So Right. So that's where we're kind of sitting with the blacklist. We want to kind of get it as robust as possible, give it out to people, and then let it live, breathe, exterior to Crimson Sleeper Studios as something that other people, like I said, with a blacklisted book, maybe mentally in the minds of some,
Hmm.
they can maybe get some value out of the blacklist. So that's what we're trying to build this list out to. So that way, other small press indie books could get some use out of it.
Nice. And again, a resource like that is so vital, and it's so like game changing for a small creator or for someone who's just starting out and trying to put their work or their name out there. Now you have a list that'll probably be 200, 250 strong of people that you can email, contact, and reach out to just see if they can talk about your work. Because having word of mouth in this day and age on social media with people such as like a Blur Without Fear or a Fantastic Frankie or even a Tony Weaver Jr., like it's that changes a lot for your work or your actual like project that you're doing. And having that as like a set data set and like say, okay, this is what it did for this project. Here, if you contact these people, they'll do this. They'll put you on, and that's amazing, man. I really appreciate the thought that you've put into this about it.
Thank you, thank you. No, it's whenever like this like whenever Sign Issue One was starting to get kickstarted, I actually got laid off from my job at corporate because I was working for the bank, right? I
Uh
was
huh.
doing product management,
Yeah.
and one of the big things I kind of told myself when I kind of had a lot more time on my hands to do this, I said, you have to put that corporate level of
Mm-hmm.
grind towards yourself. If you don't, it's this you know you're not going to be giving what you could, and that's going to kill you. So
Mm-hmm.
I made sure that if I was giving that work, to the bank, I got to give that work to myself. You know what I mean?
Very
And
true. Very true.
it took a while. It took a while to figure out how to get serious about yourself because you don't want to. You don't. It's not to say that I'm not a very because I can be a little bit overly serious sometimes. I'm not trying to say that, but it's
Yeah.
the want to not come across
That's too
as someone
serious.
who thinks he's so full of himself. I got this big thing going on and it's going to be huge. Like no,
Mm-hmm.
that's not what we're doing here. This is a small flame and I have my
Mm.
body over it trying to keep it warm and just make sure that
Yes.
there's enough oxygen for it to breathe. So that way once this breeze finishes, hopefully it can make its own breaths and
Mm.
swell and be something a lot bigger and sustainable on its own. And like for a long time it was that. And I can kind of now feel like the heat on my stomach. Like I
Mm.
can feel like that work of kind of trying to
Paying
keep this thing
off.
alive becoming something more. And I think that it's because I wanted it to be that serious. Like I wanted someone to look at me and be like, "Why would you not take me as seriously as the bank?" Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I get it's comic books, but come on, like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's that's that want to be seen as serious, I suppose.
I will say that really hits home with me because was, I'll say still is, my biggest challenge with being a creative or being a digital content, a digital media company as Friendly Neighbor Nerd or whatever. But I have to take myself seriously. I have to be like, I set this deadline. I've set when this needs to be done. Get it done, or you're gonna go out of business, bro. Like that's really how I feel about it a lot of the times. Like I need to take myself as seriously as I am in corporate, and that is a difficult lesson to learn as you go. But you get through it though. Like you said, you get through it.
I agree. I agree. And it's important. It's important. It's just because like like, you are that
Hmm.
important. You are that serious. You deserve that polish. Like you deserve to shine like
Hmm.
that. And like when you can give yourself when you polishing your scepter after putting so much work into somebody else's shoes, it's
Oh
nice to be
yeah.
able to shine your own. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like it's nice to be able that work that you had to do to like pragmatically because you just needed a job, you're
Hmm.
able to now use that for yourself. And like you're going to have so much more because you gave that amount of effort into yourself. So no, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So that's the big thing about being a creator or creative. Like I said, you give yourself not only the grace, but also the respect of knowing that this is all on you. So give it your best shot, man. And sometimes I will say fear holds me back of what if my best shot ain't good enough? What have been some things that have kind of like come up during your journey as this creative?
Honestly, I would argue I probably had my biggest issues with that before I started this journey.
Mm,
I dropped out of college twice before I finished, and then it
mm,
was never because of grades.
mm,
I got sick the first time, and then the second time I kind of got so psyched out because I was worried I wasn't going to have enough loan money that I
mm,
just kind of just decided to take a break
mm.
because I was worried I was going to run out of financial aid before I could finish.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was just kind of in this moment of like, okay, you've been in school for a while. You probably got about 2.5 years worth of loans left if you go to a smaller school,
Mm-hmm.
but you probably only got a year left if you keep here. So what do you do? And I went to a PWI to start, right?
Mm.
And I did not find community there. I know a lot of people love LSU to
Yeah,
death, and
yeah.
especially as a Louisianian, I can't
Mm.
really talk too bad about the Tigers, right? But it's I did not find the community I was supposed to there, and they consider themselves to be a minority serving
Mm.
institution. So I definitely think that I saw a lot of things on campus that made me very jaded as a budding, aging young black man, and I needed to kind of get like my compass reset, if you
Mm-hmm.
will. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
Jackson State really helped me do that. Like when I was at LSU, I was just trying. I was training to become an engineer, but like they make engineers at LSU, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when I went to Jackson State, they make black engineers,
Mm.
right? They make engineers that look like me,
Mm-hmm.
and I get to have professors that look like me. And
Mm-hmm.
that was the first time I ever had a black man teach me something.
Mm.
In like a classroom formal setting. I was above drinking age. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. And and I love the experiences that I got to have at Jackson State because I was not a very confident individual growing up. I'm gonna be
Mm.
very honest. My mom put me into private school because she wanted me to have a good Catholic education, and that came with a high proximity to whiteness. And I'm gonna be
Mm.
honest. My proximity to whiteness was not that once I got out of school.
Mm. Yeah.
I live in a house with two black women. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean?
Uh-huh.
So I it was hard to see myself in those spaces and for that to continue into college. It was enough was enough type
Yeah, yeah,
situation.
yeah.
And I told myself that like if I'm going back, I'm going back someplace
Mm-hmm.
black.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me the just faith in myself to see who I could become. And I would argue that because I was able to go back, get that degree,
Mm-hmm.
and like in the middle of COVID, like COVID
Sure.
happens right in the middle of it. I'm literally like, oh my God, it's always something. Like
Oh
I was
man,
legit like, oh, I'm just
yeah.
never gonna get this done, I guess, right?
Right.
But no, I wouldn't put my mask on. I went to classes when they were in person if I had
Mm.
to. I stayed at home and did stuff in virtual if they told me
Mm.
I could, and I made sure to make it happen. And I did that all while working, an essential worker job at the plasma center the whole time,
Oh
right?
wow.
So I got to get that rigor from Jackson State, and it really made me turn into somebody. And I think that that's what Scion is kind of reflecting of. I wanted to kind of put how Jackson State kind of saved me into a book,
I
and I
love
think
that.
that that moment of being a two-time dropout, coming back to school, and still being able to graduate with honors. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Love that.
That made me confident enough to want to do this because I took a lot. I got my bad draws done early, as we say in
Yeah,
the trading
yeah.
card game. I got my bad
Right.
rolls were early, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now it's time for me to get some good licks in,
Yep.
and I was able to finally do that there. So I would argue that like failing at education at a young age, whenever it was very much my identity growing up,
Mm-hmm.
helped me understand that you can't grow someplace where you're not supposed to be,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have to make the environment that you need to be able to succeed. And because it's my business, I can handle I can adjust every knob. I can
Mm-hmm.
have every single factor be exactly like I need to be, so that way I can do what I need to grow. So I would say that because I failed like that, that's why I'm able to kind of keep pushing.
Wow.
I know
That
it's a
was
little bit, it's a tangential answer, but I
no,
hope it,
no,
hope
no,
it.
no, no. That makes perfect sense. Like I said again, like that really hits home for myself because again, like you learn more from your failures than you would than you just succeed all the time. But to have you go through that adversity, and then just kind of like build yourself back up, build up your self confidence. It's really dope. It's really amazing to see. I'm gonna nerd
Thank
out
you,
for
thank
a bit. Yes, yeah, man. I'm gonna nerd out for a bit because again, I told you I went to Tuskegee, but also before that, I was in a kind of like a accelerated college program. Within that program, I joined NSBE. I joined the National
you. Yes.
Society of Black Engineers. Are you a member of NSBE?
Yes, I am. Yes, I
I
am. Now
love it.
it's
I
now
love
so
it.
now to be fair, NESB membership for the biomedical
Yeah, yeah,
engineers
yeah,
it's a little bit harder, a little
yeah.
bit harder. You know, we're the barely engineers, but
Yeah.
yes, I took a lot of electrical engineering
I love
classes at
that.
Jackson State, so they let me pass through. They're like, oh, you know how to fix the radio? Yeah, you can come
Yeah,
on through.
I got in through Nesby Junior in our college prep program, and when I got to Tuskegee, I was so happy that we did have a chapter of Nesby there, and as well, like I was going for veterinary medicine, but I also did my minor within biomedical. So yeah, I was able to barely get up in there, but I was in
I
Nesby.
understand. I understand, man. They're like, all right. So how many maths did you
Right,
take?
right.
Did you take organic? Like they're gonna. What
Yeah,
about
they
thermo? They're
yeah.
gonna they're gonna get you, man. They're gonna try. But you know what? We are still guild members. Okay,
Yes,
we are guild
yes.
members. We are card holders. Okay, and I'm proud. I'm a
Yes.
proud guild member. All right.
And I love how you were saying, like, you got to be taught by someone who looks like you. And that is a big thing when it comes with, like, the community that Nesby brings you into the I would hate to say like brother, but like the actual family, honestly, that Nesby brings you into. You get to see people who look like you doing what you want to do in life, like doing what you aspire to do. So beyond that, like how did having that reflection, I would say, give you the ability to move forward and all the things that you're doing now?
Honestly, it came from a bit of a place of spite, if I'm gonna be
Oh
honest.
wow, okay, okay.
But so in a good way, in a good way.
Mhm.
I When I came back to school, I was very much I didn't want things to have. I was always wondering why things had to be so hard, right? That was my
Yes.
why is everything so hard? That was my woe is me, right? And
Mhm.
I think that like getting to have a black man as a teacher finally like sit me down and be like, it's gonna be this hard. Are you
Yeah.
stupid? What is wrong
Right.
with you? And like I got sent back to like that's like me going back to like dealing with my pawpaw and stuff as a
Mhm.
kid, man. I was like, man, pawpaw, I don't need this, right? And she realizing, no, if he's making you feel this way, if he's making you feel this familiar way, it's because obviously he cares about you, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was Dr. Gentry. Dr. Gentry was my calculus 3 professor.
Mhm.
I pray Dr. Gentry is doing well health wise because he was older whenever he taught me.
Yeah.
But Dr. Gentry was an electrical engineer. He was an engineer for the Army, and he didn't play
Mm-mm.
because he was very much like he was the scrawnier engineer type. So like he was included because he could kind of wrench on things, and he understood that. Um, in these spaces, there's not a lot of black engineers, and there's always going to be someone who claims you can't know what you're doing. So if you want to say that you're one of us, you got to be real good at what you do.
Mhm.
And he kind of saw in me the potential to kind of be that kind of old school type of black engineer, where like you're doing your math calculations in your head, you're not relying on a calculator.
Yeah.
You're able to kind of explain things on the go, different things like that. And man, I dropped out twice before this, bro. I'm trying to keep my head out and go. Like I was not trying to like have someone like mentor me. You know
Right.
what I mean? I'm like, I was 24. I'm like sitting over here. I'm like, bro, what are we doing? And Dr. Gentry's like, man, if you can't tell me what this plus this is in your head, then you aren't an engineer. And it's
Mm.
like, oh Lord. So you do realize that I've already been told that by
Yeah.
them white folks. That's why I'm here. Right. And it's like, no, it's like, maybe you need to just sit down and try. Maybe you need to sit down
Mm.
and try and realize that those white folks are always going to ask that out of you. So you need to at least be able to say you can know it for yourself. And
Mhm.
that's what I learned from Dr. Gentry was that like every day I showed up to that classroom and I was looking to try and put belt to ass.
Mm.
Excuse my French. Like I was trying to work it, man. And
Yeah.
every time I take a swing and miss, it felt like the bat was hitting me in the forehead, bro.
Oh.
It was so bad. Like it was every day was a fight. I thought I would knew something and I wouldn't. And
Mm.
it was brutal. It was excruciating. And by the time I ended that course and I had an A, I knew it was probably the A that meant the most since I had gotten back into school because he didn't give it to me easy.
Mm-mm.
And I
Mm-mm.
still got it. I took it. I had to snatch it. And that's just what he wanted. He
Yeah.
wanted me to get it about the mud.
Mhm.
And I appreciate him for making me rigored enough to know that I can do that. That like I don't have to see the shortcut and take it because it's less work.
Yeah.
I can do it the old school way. That like as far as like what a classical engineer is, I mean, he makes them in this classroom, and I can say that I'm one of them. And it's not just Dr. Gentry. After him, I got to have Dr. Diata, and Dr. Diata had a much more. People did not like Dr. Diata on campus. They thought he was really, really mean. And it's like, no, y'all just don't like when an African man tells you you're wrong.
Right.
Like it's, you know what I mean. Y'all just don't like the disappointment in that man's voice tone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Dr. Diata was so brilliant. He had so many patents. He would fly out across the world to go give lectures. Like the man lived such an awesome life. Getting to like learn you know, getting to learn like Diffie Q from him was so fun because I'd had Dr. Gentry from multivariables, so like now I can feel confident enough to talk about this with this man who is such a regarded man in the mathematical space. You know what I mean? Like I can sit here and actually talk to him and not feel intimidated. And Dr. Gentry gave me that power. You know what I mean? Like it's that's what Jackson State was able to give to me. So I definitely in the nerd out moment, like it's incredible like what that tough love and a little bit of spite in the gas tank can kind of
Mm-hmm.
get you across the finish line. Then it's suddenly on graduation day, everybody's kind of giving you a pat on the shoulder and saying like, I'm proud of you, young man. You actually did that. And it's like, you're right. I can't believe I did that. That's you pushed the crap out of me. You put that carrot in front of me and told me go, but
Mm-hmm.
you wanted me to be somebody, and you wouldn't have done that to everybody, and I appreciate that.
Yes, that is very huge. Because, like I said, because once you hit that graduation day, you really look back like, man, I really did that. Like my professors were really behind me, and I did that. Like it's huge,
And
man.
that's the beauty of an HBCU. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if many black people can say that at a PWI. If I crossed that stage at LSU, I could count one professor I would have been
Yeah.
down to say hi to after the fact. Jackson State's not the case. I could go back right now and it could be a hug tour
Mm.
across the CSET building. Let me go get a hug
Absolutely.
from X. Hey, oh, let me see how Dr. Ali's doing. Let me go see how,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, right, even Dr. Alibody might get a hug, bro. You know what I mean? Because we made it. We made it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, they took all these hard classes, and you told me I couldn't do it, and here I am still standing. And like, that's it's cool, man. It's cool when that happens.
It really is. It truly is a feeling like no other, man. So, for creators in color, we like to try and inspire the future creators that may be out here listening or watching this. So, what is a message that you would want to give to someone who wants to walk in your footsteps and kind of like be the next Mark Bandy?
When I would say do more than me, be you, be the next
Mm,
you, because that's so big. And if I can somehow inspire you to be you, that's incredible. But if you were to learn anything from my story, it's that don't give up. Don't give up. It's goofy. It's goofy in Kingdom Hearts. Don't give up. Like that's how that's
right?
literally, man. You kind of like, I'm gonna be honest. You kind of need to be a little bit of a goofy, if we're
Mm-hmm.
being honest, because you need to kind of take yourself a little bit less seriously. You need to be able to take a lick every now and then. You
Mm-hmm.
need to be able to push back when it's important, and you need to know how to be able to like build a structure around you that's in love,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you can figure out how to do all of that and not quit, no matter what you're trying to do in life, if you keep hitting the pavement, if you keep trying to dedicate yourself to getting better, and if you take yourself seriously
Mm.
while you do it, I truly have a hard time believing that the human spirit cannot achieve at every single level. Like I've never been that person, and I truly believe that we all can become like we all can go Super Saiyan if we train hard enough. I truly believe so. So um, don't give up, stay consistent, and remember to be true to you. Be
Mm.
you whenever you don't know what to do. And obviously, there's these elements of fake it till you make it and things like that. But um, you're gonna know what's important for yourself in the big moments, and it's good to rely on that because there have been so many moments where I thought I was out the race. I mean,
Mm.
once you drop out the first time, you probably
Right,
think you're
yeah.
out the race. You know what I mean? Let alone the second time. The second time, you're like, oh God,
Like, come
am I getting
on.
sent to hell? Like obviously it's not that deep, but you
Yeah,
might
but it
think the
feels
thought.
that
You know
deep,
what I mean? Like you might think that with those loans, you might
right?
think the thought. You know what I mean? You still got to pay those back. So um, I hope that you try to be um, the best version of yourself because you just decided to keep being the same version you were yesterday, today.
Mm.
Stay dedicated, keep moving forward, and I think that you can definitely do it. You can definitely do it.
Okay. So now, with that, where could people find you, your work or and everything that's available that you want to kind of like shamelessly plug right now? Where can they get you?
I got you. I got you. So, you can find me on pretty much every social at Crimson Sleeper Studios. We'll usually pop up pretty easy if you do that way. We have a little clock with some Z's on it. That's our logo. Scion is available in a few places actually. If you live in the Phoenix area, there are 7 stores within the valley that you could pick us up. Excuse me, you could pick us up in. But we also have our e-store. Our main place to buy from is our Shopify store. If you type in this, I believe, crimsonsleeperstudios.myshopify.com, it'll pop up. Also, if you just Google Crimson Sleeper Studios Shopify, it'll usually pop up first thing.
Okay.
Um, we also are one thing that we've been getting a lot of success from recently has also been the TikTok shop. We've been getting a lot of sales from the TikTok shop, which has been really really nice. The great community over there on Comic Talk. So if you're also if you'd like TikTok, you can also find us there because I think shipping is a little bit cheaper if you go with TikTok.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
as far as what we're looking to plug right now, we're definitely looking to plug Scion issue 2 because it is our next big thing. I have these little cards right here that have the covers on them. We were actually fortunate enough to get DC cover artist and writer
Oh
Nicholas
wow.
Draper Ivy
Nice.
to do one of our covers. Yeah, he actually was a part of the Dakota Incident. He wrote the last act of it, which is super
Mhm.
lit. He's been
Mhm.
doing a lot of great stuff with Virgil's Mythos over the
Really
recent years, and
has.
definitely like we wanted to get him on this book because we knew that his style would be perfect. And I mean, come on, man, look how he drew John. It looks
Right.
incredible. So really, really excited. We have it like the little card has it to where if you wanted to, you could go find us on Kickstarter or Global Comics because that's also where you can, if you want to, you can read the first half of Scion for free online at Global Comics. So if you have, you don't even need a Global Comics subscription. You could just Google Scion Global Comics, and you could just read the first 20. I think we have the first 26 pages up, so a little
Oh
bit more
nice.
than the
Okay.
first half. Yeah.
Okay.
So that way you can go ahead, wet your whistle, think, see if you like us, try us before you buy, right? And
Mhm.
hopefully we can get you hooked on Scion before issue 2 drops.
Nice, nice. So, and as well, if you're a creator out there who wants to sit and talk with him, hit him up and get yourself on the blacklist, man. So, I want to thank you for coming, sitting down with us here, Creators in Color. If there's anything that you need from me as well after this, definitely, I'm here for when the Kickstarter drops. We can also come back and do another talk. I got plenty of other
Oh, that'd
shows
be
we can
amazing.
talk on, man.
That'd be awesome. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I would love to chop it up. We could talk about what's going on in comics right
Oh, yeah, that would be
now, like
dope. Yeah.
anything. I'm down. I'm down.
Nice, nice. So, I have been your friend, the neighborhood nerd, the Babo, and I want to thank you guys again for joining us for another installment of Creators in Color. I will see you guys next time.